Today we're looking at getting ready for 6th grade, lesson 12. It's about integers, understanding integers. How can you use positive and negative numbers to represent real-world quantities? This is a little bit more difficult lesson, so we're going to go through the whole thing together, but I do need you to get your paper and go ahead and do it with me so you're at least introduced to this. Okay, here we go. We zoomed in a little bit. Hopefully that helps you see it better. You have used a number line to show zeros and whole numbers. You can extend the number line to the left of 0 to show the opposites of the whole numbers. For example, the opposite of a positive 3 is a negative 3. Any whole number or the opposite of that whole number is called an integer. So these are all integers. How can you tell whatever a number is, whether a number is an integer or not? We just talked about that. It is an integer if it is a whole number or the opposite of a whole number. Go ahead and stop your recording and get that recorded in words. Let's move on down here to example 1. The temperature in Fairbanks, Alaska is 37 degrees below 0. Write an integer to represent the situation. Decide whether the integer is positive or negative. The word below tells us that the integer is negative. Write the integer. So it says it's 37 degrees below 0. So we know it's going to be a negative 37. That's the integer. So the temperature in Fairbanks, Alaska was a negative 37 degrees. Okay, we're going to go on to example 2. The koala bears gained 11 yards on the football play. Write an integer to represent the situation. Then tell what 0 represents in that situation. Like in our temperature, 0 represented not negative or not positive. Decide what positive integers and negative integers represent. Positive integers, in this case in football, would be yards gained. So yards you gain toward the goal line. Negative integers would represent yards lost. So you got tackled behind the line of scrimmage. You didn't get any closer to the goal line, you got further away. Decide what 0 represents. So 0 means yards were neither gained nor lost. So you didn't make any yards on your play. Okay, we're going to go to page P272. We're going to look at the share and show. Write an integer to represent the situation. A loss of $25. Write down, do you think that's going to be negative or positive? If it is a loss, it's going to be negative. The integer that represents the situation is, well, it was a loss of $25. So we would have a negative 25. Let's go over here to number 2. 73 degrees above 0. Remember on the first page, it said below would be a negative. So above is going to be a positive, and our integer is going to be positive 73. Here again we have the word below. That tells us our number is going to be negative 200 feet below sea level. So we're going to have a negative 200. A profit of $76. A profit means we gained money. We bought a t-shirt for $5 and we sold it to the neighbor. We put a image on it. We sold it to the neighbor for $10. So we had a profit. So if we have a profit, we're going to have a plus. And in this case, it's a plus of 76. Now these next ones are a little different. We have to figure out what our 0 point is. Write an integer to represent the situation and then tell what the 0 point is. So the integer is usually pretty easy. It's the 0 point that gives us trouble. So passenger jet flew at an altitude of 34,000 feet. So let's figure out what does our 0 represent. When we measure altitude, we usually start, 0 would be at sea level. So let's write sea level. Now if we're going to be flew at an altitude of 34,000 feet, we're going to be at a positive 34,000. That means we're 34,000 feet above sea level. Number 6, Zach lost 45 points on his first turn. So he did what? He lost how much? 45 points. What would be the 0 point here? It would be kind of like the football, neither gaining nor losing points. So that's what we're going to write. Neither gaining nor or losing points. If you wanted to, you could put that on 2 lines in your box. Craig was 20 minutes early for his appointment. So he was there before his appointment. So now this one, I always think that it should be positive because it's a good thing to be there for your appointment. But in this case, since the 0 point would be that you were on time for your appointment, then if you were there early, that would be a negative 20. So that one always seems kind of backwards to me. Let's go on down and do the on your own. So here I want you to go ahead and do 8, 9, 10, and 11, and then come back. So I'm going to give you some time here to pause your video, and then I'm going to put the answers in, and you can come back and check yours. Okay, so if you're back with me, I believe that means you've done 8 through 11. So the temperature went up 2 degrees. 0 would be our, 0 would be the, what 0 represents, so that would be plus 2. 9, 11 feet below sea level, so the 0 point is sea level, and we went below, so we get a negative 11. And then on 10, an increase of 37 students. So that would be a positive 37. Now this one is kind of tricky. It's kind of like the doctor's appointment. So 15 seconds before rocket liftoff. So if 0 point was when the rocket lifted off, anything before that would be a negative 15 or a negative number. Write an integer to represent the situation, and then tell what the 0 point is. read very carefully. Again, I want you to stop your recording and see what you get and check it. Okay, let's look at problem 12. The situation is Amelia earned $1,200 in 1 week. So it says she earned. So we're going to have a plus. And she earned $1,200. Let's try that again. This is Stegman. And the 0 point would be neither earning nor losing money. The coal was 2 miles below ground level. Below tells us it's going to be a negative, and our integer is going to be 2. And then 0 point would be ground level. The alarm clock rang 5 minutes early. This is like our doctor's appointment again, and our foot. And so he was early, so he was at a -5, getting up. It was 5 minutes before his alarm would go off, and the alarm ringing on time. Go ahead and look at number 15 and see if you can figure it out. I covered that up so you have a little more time on your video to get it clicked off. So now I'm assuming you've completed your work and are checking with mine. Thank you for being patient and watching the whole video and doing your part in your learning.